Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Green Suiters Podcast, episode 147, where we're doing this the Ronnie Fulton and the Brian Sedgley without the Jason Bent.
So
We're
refreshing.
bent free. We're bent free this week.
Bit free. Bit free for one day.
Yes.
Yes,
Man,
Jason. Is that a makers event in Maryland?
yep. Man, he cooked. He always says this, but he goes, I think this is my best brisket ever. And you want to know something? It was. We had that on Saturday. Oh my God, was it awesome?
Really?
He did an 18 pounder and he cut it, and we just watched the fat fall out of it. It was
Oh, wow.
amazing.
18 pounds. Wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable good.
That's
So I
huge.
know I know he's listening right now because
Yeah.
he does that.
Yeah. He'll be worn out. Those kind of events can really wear you out.
Hey, is it really hot there in Kentucky?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah, same here.
My van said it was 99 and then it went down to like 96, 98 range.
Mm-hmm.
We had one of those days where we had to finish up a job and do another. We were outside all day from 8:30 till 30 minutes ago, whole day.
Wow.
It's funny. Cameron talks about people they come out of their house. They're like, it's so hot out here. Y'all should come inside. You should come in. Like, no, I don't want to come inside to your air conditioning. I'm okay right now. I'm used to this temperature. When I go
Yes,
inside, it's going to feel awful when I come back out.
I know.
It's
Oh my
fun.
God. It was, and then at work, sometimes the AC is cranked. So you walk out and it's like walking into a wall of humidity and heat. It was really high here. Jason said it's going to be in the hundreds in Maryland. And I'm driving out to DC on Wednesday, and it's 100 degrees there tomorrow in
Oh, wow.
Washington, DC.
So I know you get to a certain point up north, people don't have air conditioning, right?
Yep.
It's like Maryland, one of those places.
I don't know. I think nowadays a lot of the newer homes have air conditioning. It's the older homes that don't.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of places I know up in New England that don't have air conditioning, the older builds.
Because it's just such a short time that they need it, right? Is that why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
what
don't think they can't afford it.
what I see on a lot of the older houses when I'm up in Maine is people put mini splits in,
That makes
you
sense.
know. And
That makes
it also helps with oil prices in the winter too, running a mini split for the heat.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And you can
um,
control a couple different zones that way.
you
So,
know,
hey, do you know if we have any new patrons?
I don't. Did he send it to you?
No.
Okay.
So, if
Let's
you're a
make
new
some up.
patron, welcome.
Yeah, let's make some up. Yeah,
Let's make some up.
let's make some up. I guess we'll
Uh,
just do a double announcement next week on the patron side.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the giveaway this month?
What is it? Are we still
Yeah.
doing are we still doing
I think it's Forged 3D.
yeah. Yeah, Forge 3D. It's still, I
Forged.
think still running with that.
Yep.
It's two, is it two $100 gift certificates?
Hey,
One.
Ronnie, we really pay attention, don't
Yeah.
we?
I let him do that part.
I
I
know we're
think
up to I know we're up to 8 million now, right? In
yeah,
giveaways.
well, actually, my accountant called me out on the last one. I think we were actually at 15 million. And
Really?
I was thinking about the last month. So we're right now we're going back and we're recalculating. So we're not going to share that where we are at giveaways.
Okay.
We need to figure that out. We may have cooked the books a little bit on the last, so we'll figure that out.
Holy crap. Hey, speaking of that, I just got something from my CPA today. I just got home and opened up my Gmail on my Sedge tool. And recently I filed something. I think we all did. If you have a small business, right, with your state Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
Now there's a national one.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Did you
think
get did you get that?
I remember hearing about it, and I just know it's something you have to file, I think, this year before your next one.
Yep. and
It's like
and
one, it's like the Secretary of State one, but it's like one that's a federal one. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's really weird. But both of them have that threatening $500 fine
oh,
thing
I know.
because
I know.
they're always threatening us with that $500 fine.
One more thing to do. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
actually, as we're speaking, I'll pull it up. I mean, last time I think it was Aderola that told us, Steve, that pay attention to that. It's coming down the line, and it did come down the line. Yeah. My CPA is so freaking cool. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's what it is.
So have you already looked at it? I'm interested to know if there's a filing fee like the one the state one is. Are they
Okay, so it says here, okay, she says, blah, 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 blah. There's a brochure attached below for more information. I'll read that while I'm on the road. And if my CPA does it, there's a fee, but I don't know if there's a fee for me to do it. It doesn't
like
say.
it's like a $15 or $20 filing fee on the one that we have for our state.
Yeah, same. It says you'll need a current copy of your driver's license and any owner 25% or more. I'm the only owner, blah, 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 on Sedge tool, but I have subs. If you have any signing, da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. And if somebody signs on my bank account, which I need to get Marianne on my Sedge tool bank account. Yeah, sounds cool. But it's cool that they keep up on that for me,
Yeah.
where I probably wouldn't have.
Yep.
So
That is very good.
it's always good to have those people in your back, to back you up
Yeah,
so you
for
don't
sure.
let things drop through the cracks.
Yep. Especially on that. When I tried
Woo.
to do my accounting the first year, I tried to do a majority of it myself, and I was doing even payroll myself because it's expensive to have someone else do payroll. And I wanted to understand. So I was filling out the things on an online thing, and then I was using the wrong code, the wrong classification code for what I was doing, which affects the workers' comp thing. And
Mm.
I got a notice from the official whatever courts that I had a court date because I used the wrong code. And I didn't even remember. And they called me. It was like a phone, like a jury call kind of thing, like this committee. And they were like, could you explain to us why you use code 54 instead of code 45? And I was like, yes, I can explain to you. I'm a woodworker and have a woodworking business. I do not have an accounting business. And I did not understand that. And I said, but I will definitely get someone who understands that because I don't want to deal with this ever again. I'm on the job site and I'm working. I'm not sitting at a desk. And I was so annoyed because
What
I'm
did they
out.
say?
They were just
What,
saying that they asked me if I could explain myself why I used the wrong code. And I'm like, because how am I supposed to know this? They expect for you to be like, they shouldn't make it
mm.
so hard. So
It's
I like I withheld my anger from them just to say, I will get like my CPA to start doing payroll. I won't do it anymore. It was an accident or whatever, but they kind of acted like I was like being on trial. And it was funny. I just happened to answer the phone while I was working. I forgot even about it. They told me I had a hearing date. This is like the very first or second year that I was in. So
mm.
then I started paying someone to do my payroll. And it's funny, I'm paying them to pay me to pay myself from my company. And it's just another person on but it's worth it because it's a lot of work to do that. QuickBooks has an offer for people to do that, and there's other applications, but it's something else to worry about. So we
Yep.
let the CPA does it now, and just we just pay the same thing every other week, and they take care of issuing the check. So it's another expense, but it's the way to go. Because if I
Yeah.
ever get that kind of call again, I can just push it off to them.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
it. But I thought that that would be something I could do on my own to save. It's like that's not the place to save for
Yeah.
sure.
And I have to utilize her more and more, and I keep pushing things off. But I got to really, when I get back from vacation, I got to really sit down and go through my books from the first 6 months just to make sure everything's being written off correctly.
Mhm.
And you have to stay on top of that
Oh,
stuff.
yes. Yes, for
And
sure.
I'm gonna start doing it twice a month just to verify everything's getting filed properly. Because stuff's starting to happen, and I just want to make sure. In other words, setting the foundation for the future.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. We have
And it's always good to have that person that I can ask questions.
mhm.
And then they're not going to charge me if I ask them a question like an attorney does.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Oh,
it's always good.
that's billable time. You made me think about it. That's $100. You
We
made
get
me
in
think about. I was thinking about it on my way to work. Billable time.
it's interesting. We get in regular discussions now, like with Cameron's getting involved in it too. And it's good because it's business things he needs to think about. But when I go, for example, when we get a call for a rental and I tell Kelly, well, I'll stop by there and take care of that. It gets very blurry and very hard to remember that I use a different card to buy that water hose spigot or to buy that whatever it is. And then I go by there and I take care of it. It takes me like an hour or two. Do I bill us back, to take it out of the profitability of the rental? And technically, yes, we always should, but it's kind of a wash. It's like, yeah, my company makes more money, but then I have to pay taxes on that. And then it's an expense for us. And it's like sometimes you think about it and you're like, who benefits when we do that? It's like it's all a wash. It washes itself out, whether it's on
Mm.
one side or the other, when all your tax returns are going to the same household.
Yep.
But we talk about that all the time. Um, on more intensive type projects that we take on, I have to do that. If not, it throws my company off. I have to charge us back for it.
Hmm.
And so it's funny that sometimes our CPA is doing taxes for us just between my business and the rentals in our personal, and it's just crossing around. It's all staying in the same house. But I guess that's common on people like, I don't know the example right now, but like there's, I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of an
There's
example. But
no,
people that
but there's a
own,
lot of people who do what you do. They
yeah,
have a
yeah,
remodeling business, but they also have rentals that they do,
right.
plus the missus works.
Right.
And I've seen that so many times in life where you have to make sure you cross all your T's and dot your I's so you don't have the IRS coming and knocking.
Yes. Yeah. So she has the real estate side
Yep.
and with personal, and we have my company, and then we have the rentals.
Yeah.
We get back
So
and forth from our CPA every year. It's huge.
so we were kind of blindsided last year, uh, but it was our fault because Marianne's starting to draw Social Security. And what is exactly tax? Because she has chosen, she didn't think she would, but Lowe's, anything over 30 hours is considered full time. And by the way, she knew that, and no store manager knew that.
Wow.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? It's
I remember when they made that rule. Yeah.
people don't I don't want to say asleep at the wheel. They have some great people working there, but they just don't know all the things. Marianne's a detail oriented person. But what happened was we have that coming in. We have her money coming in from Lowe's plus her Social Security. And we were blindsided with the taxes that weren't taken out of the Social Security.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what hit us a little bit last year, but not bad. I mean, it's a learning experience, and that's what we always chalk it up to. It's
Yeah.
like
It does.
I could step now through because Marianne has gone through signing up for Medicare and all of that. Guess what? I did it with her, and we learned it together.
That's good.
And I would always hear these things. What's the difference between Medicare, Medicaid? What's the difference between what's the Schedule B stuff? But as you
Yeah.
step through it, it's just something you have to go through in life, and it's just learning.
Yeah.
So I'm prepared for retirement when I'm at that and when I get to that age. And you know what? It's really funny when you start looking at everything, you go, "Oh wow, I do see the light at the end of the tunnel."
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, but you know me, I'll never ever stop working.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people that I think fall in that category. I mean, so what are you going to do? Just sit there? There's
No,
always, but there's always things to do. The thing that's something that stresses me out all the time. I could work full time for myself and not make a cent, just doing things that I need to get done like all the time. And I think most
same.
people are in that category, but you're a certain point where you still have to make, you still have to make money, but
So,
I could work full time for myself. You have to pay yourself. Well, I guess, and that comes back to the thing. I technically could work full time just for our rentals if I
mhm.
wanted to. And the rentals would pay me the income and it would just come out of the profitability of our rentals. And it's a whole different way of looking at it. It's like you created you made yourself your own customer.
Mhm.
It's crazy to think that way. But right now, what I do basically is the bare minimum of things. And we hire, a plumber, electrician when needed, HVAC. I don't do any of that. And that always is crazy expensive every time we have anything done. It's so high now. I'm just like the water heater I said last week. I mean, just couldn't believe it. I mean, my cost after the fittings and things was 950 to change that out.
Jeez.
950.
I I keep looking, you know, I was listening to the hot water heater, what Jason went through, and I see what he gets things priced out. And I was on the phone with my buddy up in Maine, driving home today, real good friend. And he just took 2 weeks off. He lives on a lake. And I said, what you do on vacation? I know you stayed right there, staycation. He goes, yeah, it's kind of rough. I live on a lake. And he goes, but I fished every night. And he goes, I built a in materials that I had about $500 in materials left over because he built his garage. I just built a shed for the kayaks, and somebody would have charged me 4,000, and I did it for 500. And guess what? I like doing it.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know, so it's the price of things, Ronnie. I it and you know, I'm right now I'm caught in between something. I'm mowing a couple of lawns and I really enjoy doing that. But my variable speed's starting to go on my ego mower. So I started doing a little research about getting it fixed. I'll find out tomorrow afternoon. But then all of a sudden I'm like, what's it going to cost to get it fixed versus buying new? And
Hmm.
I get two new batteries.
Yeah, I know. We
And
just went through that not long ago with our dryer. We have a it's Electrolux dryer, but a really nice one because I got tired of replacing it. Everybody, the repair people say that's one of the best brands, and it lasted us like 8 years. And
wow.
I think it was the heating element. Yes, that's what it was. An error code said the heating element. I watched a YouTube video, looked it up. It was a part that was like hundred-ish dollars. But when I watched what was involved in doing it, I was like, that's and so we thought about that. We called the company and they said that they could do it for like three. And it's an expensive dryer. It's like over 1,000. And I thought, well, let's just do that to buy. And the guy came out and he was like, no, it's gonna be more than that. By the time we do it, he's like, you're looking at $500 or $600. And we were like, no, that's over the right when you start paying 500 or 600, might as well get a new one. And it hurt my soul to throw that out. I took it to
Yes.
recycling plates. I told Cameron, I was like, there's a perfectly good motor in here. The LCD display is good. Everything's good. And it's like, I just hate just taking it just to throw it out. But
Mm-hmm.
what society has made us do because it's so expensive to get
This,
something replaced.
yeah. And the
Things aren't made
cost
to
of
be fixed. They're not made to be fixed. That's what it
the
comes.
co and I'm not complaining, but same thing with my washer. I got a really nice Samsung. And Marianne and I've been blessed. We've had them for 15 years.
Wow, that's good.
The dryer and the washer. And the washer had a little bit of leak, so I bought a gasket and once again watched a YouTube video and I went, "Ooh, that might be a little too involved. I could do it. It's just pretty, but no, I don't want to get into lifting, tilting,
That's
doing
part of
this.
it too. It's like ours is built into cabinets and just the part of
Hmm.
taking it all out and just it's just a pain. It's like it's just better for that stuff to work. Don't break.
Yeah. So what we did is we called and he's out of business now. He was really good. You know, the good guys go out of business, they retire, right? And but he came out and he said, "Oh, you bought the gasket." I go, "Yeah, because I thought I was going to do it." And he said, and right then I knew he was making his money on his gasket because I would do the same thing.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
he goes, "I can't guarantee it, but I'll replace it." And he was I think 250,
Mm,
and I'm okay with that. But then I thought, okay, you know, I had $80 in the gasket. He probably would have charged me what, at least double that,
yeah.
right? So I'm
That
thinking, wow, that's a and that was like 2, 3 years ago. So,
that
and
is one.
I'm not complaining. Everybody needs to make their money. I did in cabinetry,
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
but
it. I have seen the benefit, especially recently. We used to mix it up a lot with the houses. There's two different towns that they're in next to each other. And we used to mix up the people we called to do things, but we started trying to like standardize with people we felt like did a good job. And we've noticed they help us out when we call on our own personal house. Like when that guy showed up, he was supposed to charge a trip charge of like $9,500. And he was like, I tell you what, he's like, if you just want to call it, he goes, I'll just leave. And I was never here. He's like, I won't even charge you the 9,500 to come. And he ran the same code I did. I think he just did the same thing I did. I looked the code. It was like error 44 or something like that. And he looked it up and he's like, yep, it's heating element. I'm like, yeah, that's what I found out too. But he said, if you don't want to do it, I understand. And he left. And so we've started to see some benefits and that they see they're getting repeat business from us a lot, especially the
Mhm.
HVAC people, because it seems like things are always going out with HVAC. So they kind of cut you a break, which is nice. That part's good. So it's good to find somebody that's good and stick with them because
Yes.
they're going to get more business from you instead of always rolling the dice and calling new people. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And and if I get a good deal, I recommend people.
Yes.
And I say, hey, just, I'm not looking, I don't get a referral. I just like to, refer people I trust.
Yes.
So the company that did my roof, they did Andrea's next door and they did Matt and Pam's across the street.
Yeah, that's good. I'm very careful about, and I think we've touched on before, I'm very careful about people who are single people doing business, just one guy, about
Yes.
referring them too much because I know everybody has a point where they can't handle it. And sometimes I'm only hurting those people when they're already busy. They don't need my help. And that's not always true, but the people that are because and what happens then is when you give out their name, people call you back and like, Sedge, that guy didn't call me. I called him 2 days ago. What do I do now? And then you're like, so now you're supposed to call for them, and it
Yes.
sends you down a rabbit hole sometimes. So I only give out people's names that I think truly are hungry for it. And if
Hmm.
they're well established by themselves, they're not looking for referrals a lot of times. They've already got their own internal, especially plumbers and HVAC
Yes.
and electricians.
Yes.
I think right now in our area, electrician is the hardest person to find. It's the hardest trade.
Yeah.
There's a severe shortage.
Oh, I think that's across the board, electricians. They're always so busy. I
Yeah.
mean, they work for like there's a guy that Jason and I lean on, and he's been in and out of doing side work with companies he's worked for. And the companies are cool for him doing side work, but it's just, and then I think he went out on his own last time I talked to him, but I don't know. And then I found out I used his uncle who does side work, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, he's my nephew." I was like,
Mm.
so it's kind of cool. Yeah, but yeah, electricians are tough. And there's one guy I lean on to give me recommendations because that's who he uses.
Hmm.
He's a painter remodeler, my buddy Brian. And he goes, this guy's good. Tell him I told you, I tell him I referred you. And usually he can get me somebody pretty quick.
My dad was always my electrician, so it's a very strange thing for me
Uh,
to deal with that part. It's like all the way up until like he died like 3 years ago, but he was my electrician my whole life, and it's just so strange to think that that's gone. That
yeah.
knowledge is not there anymore. And he used to, I mean, he could do anything. He was a commercial electrician. And so residential, he always just laughed at. He said, that's Mickey Mouse. He always said house electric is Mickey Mouse work. It was funny because he dealt with big, 400-watt panels and
Oh
crazy
yeah.
doing like assembly lines and things like that. Um, but yeah, he had it. Luckily, Cameron got to work with him for a long time and learned a lot.
Mm.
That's good. I'm glad that he was able to share a
Hey,
lot.
do you know anybody who got hit by a big panel before?
Hit by a panel.
Yeah, I mean, took a good shock and just
Oh no, no! I've seen my dad get shocked a few times where it knocked. The insulation had like a place in it, and he was using like pliers or something. And I remember the first time I was pretty young, and it blew a hole through his hand and straight back. So I've seen the power of it enough to scare me, but no,
I had a
not on
guy
a panel.
I had a guy in Fort Lauderdale that thought he knew how to do electricity. He was a woodworker, and he got a good hit off of the panel, and he lost quite a bit of his memory.
Really, it's very scary. I mean, I definitely,
Ah,
I'm scared. I definitely am very cautious around a panel. When you take that cover off, I just sit there and look at that sometimes. My dad always said, if you touch that and that, you're dead. And it's like,
yes.
oh, that's scary. It's very
Yeah,
scary.
I have a hell of a respect for electricity to the point
Yeah.
where if I don't know how to get the right breaker turned off, I turn off all of them or close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. I
And I'm
don't trust
always I'm
testers.
always testing it with my electrical meter.
Yeah, me too. And I don't trust the little beep beep testers. We use them all the time, but they've been wrong before. They've not beeped when they said it wasn't live and it was. It's happened to us more than once. So we're very cautious about it. But my dad always said, work everything like it's hot. And we do that too. We
Yeah.
always work like they're hot, and that's an extra layer of safety.
Yeah.
Sure. But we regularly have to trip a breaker on purpose because the builder will run a wire out to us and we'll go down to these basements. The last house had four 200 amp panels in the basement.
Jesus
Four
Christmas.
200s, and they're all labeled. And you're sitting there, it's like you're reading a book. It's funny too. Sometimes they'll say secret master bedroom storage room.
And
And
the
you're like,
way these guys, my panel's labeled like a ninny.
oh, they use electricians that's all they do. Like they post on Instagram about how there's one guy that has all of his electrical boxes powder coated black, sprayed. Everything he does is black, and it looks cool. I mean, that's a lot of trouble to go to. He actually spins them off and has them sprayed and comes back. All of his outdoor junction boxes, everything he installs is like jet solid black. And his truck it looks really cool. But they also pride themselves on the wires being dead straight, and all the ways they run them. But their labeling is detailed, but they usually leave out like patio screen power or something. They'll still make me be part of something else. So what we'll do is we'll go out there and touch the two wires together and trip the breaker, then go down and look for which one's tripped. It works instantly.
Oh my God. I never thought of that.
It works. It works. It just puts it to the half position. So we'll go down first and we'll look to see if any are in the half position already or
Yep.
off. But we didn't see any in the half position on all four panels. So Cameron's like, I'm doing it. And we go there and you just touch two together and pop. And then you go down there and find out which one it is. It's a good way to do it.
Hmm.
Probably not recommended in the DIY space as being the
No,
safest.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to fall off the
Well,
ladder.
you don't touch the bare wire. I mean, you can even use two pairs of pliers to touch them
Yes.
together. Even, I mean, you can keep your distance away from it, but it'll instantly trip out, especially with new circuits and new houses. I mean, if it's not wired right, it might not trip out. There's a chance, but that's
It's
also
almost like a lot. Well, there's a lot of times because one will say front hall, outside, upstairs, all on one breaker.
yes, yeah, that was
And I'm like, how the frick do they do that? Or why? I know it's the run,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I'm guessing a lot of times.
The houses built in the 1980s and 90s, I think maybe the worst that I've seen. That it's when builders were putting a GFI outside plug, they would tie it to a bathroom upstairs because they wanted to
Yes.
use one. And so you can't, like my mom's house was built in 87-ish range. And whenever she trips an outside plug, it's her upstairs bathroom. She has to reset it up there. And I feel like they could get away with things on building electrical code in the 80s and 90s that they can't now. But that's always a surprise. I feel like it's better now on houses that are being built. But what we struggle with now are these new plugs that trip. Just if anything, they'll trip outside. They're ground fault breakers and the ground fault receptacles, but ground fault breakers are the worst. They reset any little thing at all. If you have moisture on a plug and you put it in there, it's going to reset. There's people that actually put those in to pass code and then they come back after and change them all out because
Really?
that because they're code now on a lot of things, but they're so problematic. And it affects me because I'm working outside and a lot of times I don't tell the homeowner they even need to be there. And when we trip one out, it can be a pain. It can affect our work day. So
Wow.
you remember when they came
I
out,
never thought of that.
you remember when they came out with the tamper proof plugs, like when they first came out, you couldn't get a plug in one. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? You would like try, they're like, you just put them both in there at the same time. And we'd just be sitting there trying to
I know, jamming them.
oh, they would not, they were so faulty. They rolled them out so fast, it was a bad design. And I put them in my closed trailer. I had a place where I could plug in and all my outlets would become live. I got so tired of it. I finally took a 1/8 inch drill bit and I drilled all of the little white doors out of it with the power not connected because I just got tired of dealing with it. I couldn't get it. It was like a game. It was like a operation game.
Yeah.
You had to push exactly. And my dad thought he figured it out. He's like, you just have to put them right at the same time. But every once in a while, you get one that just the door would not open. So sometimes they roll things out that
Those
are,
were crazy.
yeah, they've gotten better. But I still, when I'm in the like in the aisle, I'll bypass those to get
Yeah.
the ones that aren't because it's another, especially when you're down low, you're reaching down trying to get that plug in. It's just not fun. Not fun at all.
So what I do now is if I get to switch something out in the house, and I just said, how the hell am I going to remember? Oh yeah, take a picture of it in the video as I'm pulling the wire out.
Yep, I do that regularly.
Yeah.
I did that on Friday. The way that was wired, we were taking a fan down outside, and I just took a quick picture of it because it was a little bit different than what I've seen before.
Yeah, it's just weird sometimes. I was like, God damn, how many wires are in there? There's white, black,
Red,
red, green.
yeah, yeah. Fans that are on two switches, like a light kit and the fan, they'll run the red and the black, and you can switch either way depending on the electrician. My dad and I always thought we always used red for fan because we said the fan can cut your head off, so that's blood. So we did the red to the black.
Oh,
That's the way we remembered that. So we always knew that red was the fan. But yeah, that's a choice you can do with that. But it depends on the electrician.
yeah. And I don't know. I sometimes like I'll call James and go, come over here and do this for me. He goes, oh, it's easy. I go, come on over. I'm paying you.
Yeah, it's sometimes
I
that's
don't want to deal with it, you
yeah,
know?
sometimes it's better. I'm just know enough to be dangerous on that's plumbing, electrical, everything. I'm good at changing things out, but I don't do new work.
Yeah.
Plumbing, I've done some new work actually, but I like to change out existing work with that. But I know my limits. I don't try to do too much.
I we bought a farm sink or just a big sink. Marianne was tired of the split sink that came with the house. And new disposal, new fixture. And she goes, so are you gonna do that this weekend? Like, and I kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. Finally, she said, let's just call the plumber. She goes, don't worry about it. We'll just so I think it was $380 for him to install everything, and I had bought everything.
How long would it take him?
Probably 2 hours.
It's not too bad. Plumber rate wise, that's pretty good.
And I left that morning. She goes, no, I'll take care of it. I came home and it was all installed.
Oh, that's
And I
nice.
went, that's worth every penny.
It is worth it.
It's that big gray sink we have, and oh my God, it's made such a difference. You know what the best part was? Her smile.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't like the sink with the hump in the middle, or the two
Yeah.
basins. I don't like those, and that's what we lived with for probably 12 years here.
Yeah, that's good to change. Sinks are can be a pain because there's no way to get comfortable under there while you're working.
Yes,
It's awful,
and
especially if there's a style in the middle.
almost every daggone one I've installed over the years. Oh, I got this. It's no problem. Yeah. There's a leak. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
leak. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
leak. There's a drip.
Yeah. I do usually take care of those. And I've gotten to the point before I've almost given up and I feel like I only have a certain amount of times I can call my brother-in-law who's a plumber. And I like think, is this worth it? Call I'm gonna call him. And I'm like, hey, I've tried everything. This trap down here, it's leaking. Whatever. He goes, tighten it more. He goes, tighten it to the point, get channel locks and tighten it to where you think you're gonna break it off. And then that's the last time he gave me advice. He was right. That's what it was. It just wasn't tightening enough. But there's a certain point where the thread will jump on you.
Yep.
And that's when usually it's not sitting on there straight. But I struggle with that. Whenever
Yeah.
I have to
I've
replace one, I will
that
buy so much stuff at Lowe's and I use about a third of it.
Yeah, no. That what you just said, that jumping, it's because it's not sitting straight. I've done
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they really have to sit. So, and I've watched him do it. That's how I've learned a lot. Is when we do a total renovation of a house, we'd have him come in and do the set the toilets and do that really. And I would watch him, and you learn. And the main thing they do is they lightly just put firm pressure on all the joints first, where they're seating right, and then you come back and tighten them. And I think the biggest mistake somebody would make is tighten them down, tighten the first one way down, then go to the next one. You've already messed up because you're not
Yep.
going to. So but I think plumbing is a big part of knowing what to buy. It's just so hard. You can stand in the aisle forever. You're like, I'm going from an inch and a half to inch and a quarter. I'm going from inch and a half to inch and a quarter. What do I need? What do I need? I don't know. It's you. I just start buying stuff.
Same. I hate plumbing. But there's sometimes it's a simple fix, and I always look at it like this. It's a Saturday morning. I allot the entire morning, and Mary Ann says, "You're gonna fix that?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to Costco."
Sometimes you
She used
regret
to take the she when we were in Fort Lauderdale, she used to take the kids. Come on, he's gonna swear a lot. Let's go.
it. Oh
And I
man.
hate it. I hate it when somebody says it's a simple fix.
Yeah, it's
They don't allot for that, fudge factor that happens.
right.
Murphy's Law, right?
Right. And that comes back to the same thing as you hear people say all the time. Why can't I get somebody to come out here and put up one piece of trim in my house? It's because it's not worth the time. You're going to be spending 2 hours just going out there, setting up, making the cut, and then going out. And what are they willing to pay for that? They're expecting to pay what, $20? It's like $50. No, it's not worth it. And I remember I used to hear people say that when I was in the corporate world. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know why you can't get somebody to come out and do a quick, simple job. Well, it seems like they want to do that. No, they don't, because they can go work a full day and get a full day's pay. And
Yep.
that did not make sense to me until I entered this world, for sure.
Mm. And I'm actually dealing with that right now because I have everything done on my insurance claim for the house except for the standing seam metal roof over my porch.
That's a hard thing to get somebody to come out for.
Yep, and I have it over my little portico, my
Yes.
garage. And I know that the roofing company is down in Terre Haute because of the tornadoes that hit down there, and they get a lot of work. But also, that is a very small job, and it's a back and forth with my insurance adjuster right now. I'm
Mm,
not in a rush. I got another 6, 7 months or 8 months
mm.
because you always have a year leniency on
Right.
that.
I've
But it's
had a
like,
customer. Go
but it's
ahead.
that stupid stall game with insurance adjusters.
I knew I had a customer who unlimited funds, and she could not get someone to do her little bay with the little standing seam. And she asked me if I knew anyone, and I said didn't. And she's like, I can't get anybody to come out here and do this. And I told Cameron, I was like, somebody could charge whatever they wanted. She wants to change it from shingles to copper. And I said, anyone who could do that could charge whatever they wanted and she'd pay. Because she said she's tried for 2 years to get someone out there. And she said she called all the roofing companies. She said a lot of roofing companies said they don't do that because that's almost like a lost art now. A lot of people
Yes.
don't want to deal with that. And I find that very interesting. There's a little bit of YouTube information out there. I've watched, videos before, and it's one of those things where it's about having the right tools.
Yep.
The thing that runs up and down and crimps the seam and all the different things. It's just a matter of having the right tools. But you could apply a lot of woodworking knowledge to a sanding steel, that type of roof, any type of roof. You could apply a lot of the same principles.
Hmm.
Interesting stuff. So then I end up buying a brake.
Yeah. I know
I use that.
it's the right tools for the job, and that's the investment these guys have. And they want a full day instead of a half a day.
Yes, that's exactly right. But you can do today was a very rare day that Friday we did not feel like we needed about 2 more hours. And it was towards like 5 o'clock. We wanted to try to beat the traffic coming back. And Cameron's like, we just come back on Monday? And I knew we had something, else, but we did a very rare thing. We finished up a job to this morning, and then it was an hour away. The other place was, and we kind of stopped for lunch and ate it on the way. And it's very odd for me to do that because this other one was like a decking, like ceiling job. And we left that to go do a screen job. And I told Cameron, this reminds me of that. I don't like to do an install and a sales call on the same day because I've got a different brain. And
Hmm.
it's so hard to go from the installer to the hello, customer, let me sell you this product. It's hard for me to do that in the same day. It's so hard. And I felt that today because we had to switch gears and we had to switch everything what we were doing. We managed to do it. It was 3 hours after lunch, and we had like 3 hours on site before. It worked out kind of perfect, but it's
Yeah.
stressful. If
Yeah.
anything goes wrong or if anything doesn't work on the morning one, you're affecting the afternoon one. And on the afternoon one, if anything goes wrong, guess what? I'm not here for the podcast.
Yeah.
So I told Cameron, I was like, we have a hard stop because it's an hour from the shop, which is rare.
Wow.
And I said, we have to be done by 3:30, 4 o'clock range. And we were. We were.
So that's interesting. You just said that it's rare that it's an hour away from the shop. What are your average commute times to jobs?
At the most 40 minutes. And that would be on the other side of Lexington, the big town that we're right on. It takes about 40 minutes to get there. But I would say the average is like 30 minutes away, maybe,
That's cool.
which is not bad.
No.
Yeah, this one was an hour away, which is that's rare to go that far.
Hmm.
I'm lucky enough to live I live in a nice range where my customers are, which is nice.
Yes.
Because and there's people that aren't, I always think about that when I'm like in a New York City type place or
Oh
Chicago, and you see all these contractor vans and then you find out they live like an hour and a half away, or that would be tough. I guess you get used to it, but that would be tough. I get spoiled, I guess.
my God. I used to hear guys in Maine going down to Boston and doing stuff in Massachusetts every day.
Yeah, or Norm Abram when he built on Martha's was it Martha's Vineyard, the island, like
Nantucket.
Nantucket. Yeah, he built that first project in Nantucket and had to take a ferry over with the
Yep.
materials and walk. There's no cars there, right? They had to use wagons to get. That's on a whole nother level of thinking. You can't just run up to Lowe's or your hardware store and grab what you didn't. That's amazing.
You're crazy.
I mean, just his commute alone, what did that add? Like 3 hours to his workday every day? That would just be, I guess
No thanks.
you get used to what is. You know what kind of ties into this today? Cameron finally got his one wheel, which a one wheel is that it's like an 8-inch wheel, like hoverboard
Yes.
kind of thing. We talked about before because a lot of times we work behind houses and we have to walk
Yeah.
hard constantly. Like, go get the bit set, go get this sustainer, go get this, go get the level. This was today. There's some of the things. Go get the green ladder. He went shooting around this house, and they were always working in houses with like walkout basements and things up this hill, like steep enough that you feel it when you're walking. He's taking like 50, 60 pound things up and back and forth, can go 16 miles an hour, like 16 miles an hour up to 60,
Jeez, some criminy.
and it has an 18-mile range. So he can go, pretty much all day. But after working with him and my dad, and we've worked together before, somebody goes around the house, you get used to how long it takes,
Hmm.
especially the houses we work at, because they're usually really 5-acre lots and things like that. He was coming back in half the time, and it was throwing me off. I'd be like, go get this. He's like, okay, jumped on it. He goes, here you go. And I'm like, my brain was not ready for you to come back this fast. And it actually saved us a lot of time today. And we've
So,
talked about it, and it's proven it worked. It was great.
and but there's the balance to that one wheel, right? But he's used to that.
There is, and I've gotten used to it too. He's had it for about a week now. We had it at the shop, and the only thing is when you first stand up on it, you just have to relax because it balances you, and then
Hmm.
you use your hips or your feet just to. When you go forward, it goes forward. The more you push down, the faster it goes, and if you
Oh,
go back, it goes backwards, and it keeps you balanced. But if you're wiggly and wobbly, it'll be wiggly and wobbly with you. You've got to just trust it, and it's not that bad. I thought I would have more trouble getting used to it, but it's not that bad at all.
does it tear up the lawn?
No, no, it is. Cameron said the first prototypes were go-kart tires,
Hmm.
like those racing go-kart tires that have a rounded end. They can go on grass, sand, dirt, gravel, concrete. No problem at all. He took it out on his dirt track at the shop. He has the ramps. He took it out and
Yeah.
was there. It's amazing. Uh, His his phone tells him exactly how far he went, and he can change modes. Like, there's a climbing mode, and there's one for speed, and there's one for all. And it also keeps track of all the other one wheelers in the area. And you can make yourself as public as you want to be. You can join public rides. It has the top people on there. There's a guy that has 10,000 miles on his.
Get the hell out.
10,000 miles. Cameron got his on Thursday of last week, which would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 days ago. He has 50 miles on his already.
What?
50 miles on it. Crazy. It's really, really cool.
How big is the diameter of the wheel? I'm
I
trying to
think it's
look it up.
eight inches, I believe.
Holy crap.
Look, it's a one wheel Pint X is what he bought. A one wheel Pint X,
Oh, I'm gonna
and
try to
it
one
is
wheel Pinex.
it's just so amazing on what a time saver this is. And like the weeding
Oh,
the drive,
that's cool.
the driveway shop, our driveway shop is half a mile, and if you do both sides, that's a mile. And it's a pain to walk sideways and weed with a weed eater. He got on there and he posted about it yesterday. He just leaned forward with the weed in the battery. He's able to do
Yeah.
the steel battery powered weed, or he's able to do the entire up and down. When you're walking, you have to change the battery twice, but he was able to do it because he's able to go so much faster. It's really,
Oh,
really cool.
huh. I'm looking at it right now. You can get them from 1100 to 1300 on the Pine X.
Yeah, there's a summer sale right now going off. I believe his is like 700 off the normal price.
Oh
They
yeah.
make one that's like three, four. The GT is like 3 or 4 thousand. But it's one of those
Wow.
things where it's not the best is not always the best for you. Like Cameron
Yeah.
and I both talked about that the Pint X is kind of the middle ground, like the Camry. The
Yeah.
Pint doesn't have the range. The Pint X has the range, it's still small. The other ones become like SUVs and they're bigger. This one weighs like 20 some pounds. And it's just, I mean, he puts it the floorboard of the Sprinter, the van, or the middle, and just takes it. He's got the charger in the van. He's got a fast charger, and it charges in less than 2 hours for 18-mile range. It's really cool.
Huh. And it didn't take
Yes.
long to learn.
No, it
And
didn't. And it
and
has
you
head
you're it looks like your stance is like a skateboard.
pretty much. And it's very smart. Like if are going too fast or you do anything wrong, it's called pushback. It will actually raise up and give you a little feedback that says you need to slow down or you're not doing this right. You can turn some of the things off, but it's very intelligent. The biggest danger is to go down to a certain level on the battery power. And if it gets too low, it's not able to stabilize you. And then you have a risk of just nose diving. So they say, I think Cameron said it was 6%. You don't ever want to go below. Like once it gets to 30, you need to make sure you're not going very fast. And then, but it'll even tell you, it's kind of like a Tesla. If you're going on just a ride, like 7 miles away, for example, it'll come up on your phone and say, you need to turn around and go back. You're at the battery power where, like a drone does the same thing. It
Were
tells
the
you
were
you
the
need to
customers
turn.
at the house today?
They didn't see it. It was kind of a trial. And it's funny, there was one of the steepest yards we've worked at in a long time. Very steep. They say not over a 15% incline. And this was, I'd say more than 15%, but I mean, he was bringing full size ladders down. And then tomorrow we're doing the same house. We did power screens and we're doing their deck ceiling. And we have to bring each panel around from the trailer one at a time. And so he's going to be bringing the panels around. The time saver, every time he does it, we're saving half the time that we usually do every time. And that's going to be huge. I mean, it's crazy. And it's funny, it reminds me of the stilts. We had a theory for a long time about stilts when we're doing screws around the bottom side. Would it save time? Would it be worth it? Talked about
Mhm.
it forever. We finally tried it and it was. It it cut the timing down when we're putting the gutters and the underdeck ceiling system down by more than half. The only issue is he gets to
Wow.
make sure that he's done everything before he switches over,
Hmm.
or it becomes a productivity problem because I have to hand him things, or
Ah.
he has to make sure he has everything up high where he's getting ready to work. We
Hmm.
found that out, but it's a huge productivity savings. So it's fun to find things like that because we rarely get to drive around to the house. Very rarely. We usually have to park in the front and walk everything around. And that can be a lot of time. That can be an hour in the beginning of the day, an hour at the end.
Hmm.
So I'm excited about trying. We
That's
tried it and it worked.
that is so
Really cool.
freaking cool. I had seen one of those. I just didn't know about them.
We saw one the first time we were in California on an RV trip. I guess like this year we saw you that we got the radio changed out.
Yeah.
They I think it was like 7, 8, and it was Santa Cruz is the company in Santa Cruz where they're from. And they had some prototypes them. And Cameron saw one in a sporting goods store. And he was like, Dad, Dad, Dad. So he's been into them like a fan for a long time and been following along. But it's a good time to buy one. They're running some sales right now.
Huh.
And it's
Guess what I guess what I got last Friday and started messing with it all weekend.
It's not a
My
shake.
my DJI Osmo 3.
Yay! Look right here, always within reach.
Oh my God, I got it right here. And I'm taking it with me to DC and I'm just gonna mess with it. But I didn't really Chris helped me a little with it. We shot Sedge Tool both days this weekend, and it was quite amazing. And then he said, "Have you used Mimeo?" And I go, "Yeah, I downloaded it." He goes, "Sedge, you're gonna be able to stand here by yourself and work that camera
Yeah,
from your phone."
when it does the trace, it does the follow thing. It's amazing.
Yes.
It does a great job.
Yeah,
It,
we were messing with that. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. When it
I
locks in, I know Kyle with our buildings uses GoPros like a lot. And when I first found this, I told Cameron, I was like, the way when he's walking and he's always going across these massive building sites, I was like, he would love this. He would love this. It wasn't a week later he posted. He was like, dude, this camera right here. He's like, it is so impressive. So he found it as well. But my favorite thing about it over a GoPro is how the software is so intuitive and it's like Apple designed it and it
yeah.
works. It works. It connects every time.
In the
It just
DJI,
works.
I got the creator suite one or package, and it comes with the really good DJI microphone, which I really like because it's the magnet.
We have that as well. Yeah.
And I really like that because I've always uh, what do they call those things? Lavelles or
Lavalier.
lavalier, and I hate the clips. I've
Yeah.
used them my whole life. I'm okay with the wrap around microphones, for presentations. And Chris, because I do stuff outside, he'll put that little fuzzy thing, and we were doing that inside the shop. I hated it.
Yeah.
This is so freaking smooth. We've been shooting with his now, and I think you can really see it in the videos because he's getting really good. We've been shooting with his for about a month now, and I'm just, I always say blown away, but I'm blown away at his editing, but also the quality of the B-roll we're shooting with it.
It's funny because your brain sees the size of that camera and you're like, it can't be that good. It can't be that good. And one of the best things about it, I think I've told you, when you go to somewhere like if you're at an event or something and you have this out, no one pays attention to it because they think you have a little toy camera and they don't realize you're recording 4K video. Like amazing. Like I forget myself and I'll come in and look at my footage and I'm like, you probably not gonna be able to tell what I'm like, oh wow, that's good. It just blows an iPhone out of the water. It's amazing.
Yep. So I'm
And
pretty stoked. I've been messing with that,
I'll tell
and it
you a
was
little
fun.
tip. Tell you a tip that I learned. It took me, I've had this for I had it as soon as they came out with is it the three?
Yep,
I just
three.
happened to be getting serious about it and I bought it like right when it came out. So I think it's been about a year. But something I just recently realized, I was big about zooming in and getting the footage or zooming out and getting the thing. Don't zoom in because when you're zooming, it doesn't have a zoom. So anytime you zoom, you're actually digitally zooming, which is not the same thing. So it's better just to keep it at the regular lens and don't zoom. You can always change the little lenses out and put a wide angle and do that kind of thing,
Yes.
but don't do because that's all digital when you're zooming on that screen.
Good tip. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until very recently. And it's also something you have to fiddle with. So don't even worry about it.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because there's so many great videos that I've watched on it. And they
Yes.
said, yeah, don't hold it like this because you're covering up. And now I know where the microphones are on it.
There's
If I'm
three,
not,
right?
yep, there's three.
Yeah.
And it is very intuitive and I'm just getting used to it. But there's so much to learn on it in it. I
There
love it though.
there's a lot. The thing that I want to change on mine is I have the DJI mic, the two is or the original one. So I have to put the receiver on the side of it. And the latest one they came out with doesn't need a receiver on there. It just wirelessly connects to the threes, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah.
The second one. And I'm going to actually go with those because what I found on the receiver when you have it attached to the base, it's real easy to hit with your hand and then you've lost your audio and it's just
Oh.
too big of a danger. It's a USB-C that goes into the front
Yep.
on the DJI mic, and now the new ones don't require the receiver; it automatically talks to them. So
Yep.
I'm going to actually change that out. You know what really made my mind about it? I lost one of my mics.
Ah.
I don't know where it is. I really thought it was in one of the leather by Dragonfly aprons. You know, I was blaming it on Michelle and Patrick. But it is, you know how you, when you lose something, you let time go by because you know
Yep.
it's going to turn up. I know I lost it in the shop, but I cannot find it. So I'm giving up. You can order those, but you know what they charge for just one of the little mics?
What?
$100.
You gotta be shitting me.
And it's like, what is it? Like 249 for that one. And the new one's like three something. It's just like we were talking about before. Why would I buy one little module of four pieces of that thing and might as well just buy a new one?
Yeah, the creator suite with the camera, with all the little gizmos that come with it, the extra battery, tripod stand, and mic. I paid $6.99.
Yeah, that's really good because that's I paid, for what I paid in the other one. I'll be in at that just for those two things.
Yeah,
That's a good
and
deal.
I got the ultimate coach, Chris,
That's
and
awesome.
he's learning at the same time with his. And he goes, "What have you learned?" And I go, "Oh, check this out." He goes, "Oh, that's cool." But he goes, "You just got to get used to, the touch on the screen and stuff like that." And
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
I do love it. There's something else I have on mine is this little base. You see
Yep.
that?
Yeah.
My tripod has a quick mount and I can stick it
Yep.
on there. And so that's nice. I don't ever have to screw it on. And then
Yeah.
of course this comes off, but
Oh. Oh.
yeah,
Oh, that's smart because I can hook that because I got a quick base mount on mine.
you can leave this on a tripod. So all you have to do is just click it on.
Thanks, Ronnie.
That's a
You
good
just
one.
made it really easy because I got one of those, they have like a half a dovetail and you
Yes.
just go like that. And I was putting it on my tripod. Well, you've seen those. Jason showed me how to build it. It's a Jay Bates design, 5 gallon bucket.
Gallon bucket. Yes.
Yeah, fence post or whatever. That
Yes.
thing is so reliable.
Yes.
And I mounted that on there and been messing with that, shooting some video with my iPhone for Chris because I didn't want to stop doing a project,
Yeah.
waiting for him to, because of his schedule and my schedule. So at night, I've been shooting some raw footage and sending it to him. And it's worked out. And then we do B-roll on the weekend. I just got to remember what T-shirt I was wearing.
That's good.
But it's really cool. We're him and I are experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and
I'll tell you,
it's
I,
really cool.
I think the most impressive thing is the image transfer, how good it works. Cause that's something that always frustrated me about GoPro. I'd had trouble getting it over to the phone. But when you launch that DJI app, it says connecting and you are connected. And the only thing that I found is a limited. If you're trying to pull over like 20 or 30 videos, sometimes they'll stop and it'll just cancel out. And then you got to figure out what went over and what didn't.
Yeah,
You're doing just normal. Like I'm pulling over like 15 minutes of high definition video. It can do it so fast. It's amazing. It can do
yeah,
it like through Bluetooth. It's really cool.
it is cool. And the thing I like about it, and it it makes so much sense to me now because now I have my desktop with my laptop, and I have everything Apple, my phone, Marianne's iPad, her laptop. Everything is so freaking transferable and airdropped or whatever. And my
Yeah.
two phones, I have everything.
Yes.
So it's smooth. I like it. And
One of
so
the
it's
things,
one of those new learning curves I gotta have fun with.
another thing, if you hook your phone up to it, it will charge your phone, but it knows which one has more power. So if your phone if this gets low, it'll stop and reverse the other way. It's something like that. But you also can use like those battery power, all the chargers you can get for your phones,
Hmm.
like all those USB-C, you can hook those to this and have
Really?
like crazy amount of battery power. So like I have one on my tripod that I can hook to it. I don't even have to worry about.
So you
Um,
want to hear something really cool? I was doing it with my iPhone. I took my because of the beam I have on my tripod on that, right? I took my phone charger from Festool, the PC 18,
yes.
and I got C wire in there or A wire, USB A, and I just plug it. Because I ran low on my phone one time. I was shooting video, and you just gave me an idea. I could do that because I got a C port. I could go C to my phone
Yes.
or
Yes.
my DJI because it's C to C.
Yeah. C is definitely the best one. It's the one I like to use the most. It's the fastest and seems to be the best of all worlds. But that was my biggest struggle when I used my phone. I felt like I was always killing my battery. and thinking about, do I really want to get it out? But on this DJI thing, I don't think about it as much. I just let it go. And something I'd like to start doing is there's a little on-screen editing where I could cut out, maybe if we had like 3 minutes of I'm not using before I even
Mm-hmm.
take it off from there, go ahead and just cut it off there. That's something I'd
Mm.
like to start doing.
Yeah, they also had me download Light Cut, their
Yes.
their app. Their so
Yes.
it's another editing thing I want to probably dick around with and figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. It's fun to play around with. It's a little easier to do that when it's not nice outside and stuff, when it's like a rainy day or cold, but it is fun. Just using it a lot, you'll get used to it really quick. Really
And that's
quick.
what I that's what I plan on doing in DC. We got so much stuff that they want to everybody wants to do, and you know how that goes. You
Oh
get
yeah.
30 to 35 family members. And the one thing I want to do, I told Marianne this. I want to talk with everybody. I just want to say, "Hey, it's nice to see you." And they're over there, and I'm driving home, and I'm like, I didn't get a chance to talk to that person,
Yeah, that's always hard.
because there's so many. It's our family, and I want to make sure I have a chance to hang out with each person for a period of time, and that's going to be tough. But we're going
Yeah.
to Smithsonian. We're going to Arlington. We're going to a Nationals game. Then we have a big party on Saturday night, and then we're driving home Sunday. So
Oh,
there's a
nice.
lot planned. I hope we get it all in.
Yeah,
So
that's be a
good,
win.
good reason to have that little DJI Osmo 3.
Very good reason. Very good reason.
Yeah.
What size uh car did you put in yours?
128.
I think
It could take up to, they said it could take up to a 256.
no, I have a 512 in mine.
You do.
Yes. Which I'm not saying that's a good idea. I have a theory that sometimes maybe your card shouldn't be so big because there's always a chance your card could get corrupted or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a good idea to have, that big of a card in there.
Huh. I always thought bigger was better.
Yeah. Well, I used to think that with cards, and then I did get a corrupted one. This is when the kids were tiny. Like I sent it off to try to even get it restored because it was like Cameron at the hospital when he was born, some videos
Oh,
like that. And I just kept thinking it was safe on there, but there's some software that you can recover. And I even ended up sending it off to the place that we used to use at Toyota. We used to use every time somebody's laptop hard drive died, we sent it off to this company, and they'd always get.
yep.
I sent it off to them. It was unrecoverable.
Way back when the first year I started with Festool 17 years ago in 2007, this was a hard, hard lesson. I had a personal Dell computer for the first 2 weeks, and I was out in Vegas for 2 weeks. And it was my personal Dell computer. And I think I paid like back then almost 2K for it. And it was nothing special about it. But I had on the laptop hard drive probably a couple thousand picks.
Oh,
And they were, how do you say, non-negotiable to lose.
hmm,
And guess what I did? I heard, oh, it's okay to leave my briefcase and laptop. And it went to 118 that day. And I could not get it. It fried it. So I had to send it to Dell, and it was $800, but they recovered everything.
that's good. You know what they do? They take the hard drives apart and they take the
Hmm.
plates. It's like a record player, and they remount them in another one to be able to get the data off from it. It's an expensive process. You said it was 800, and it was more when they were charging Toyota more than that. It was
Yeah.
it was $1,500, $2,000 every time it happened.
But
It's crazy.
it fried that. And I was so pissed.
That's why I like solid state drives and laptops. That's one less moving part. And Apple's
Uh,
have solid state drives, which are nice. You think about you got a record spinning in there versus a chip that doesn't have a moving part. It's better.
yep.
For, but it's that's also what I like about Apple is it backs up everything automatically to the cloud. So you can drop your laptop in the water and you still have your stuff. It's very
Yep.
nice.
Yep. I haven't looked back. I get a little ticked off because at work we're still on, of course it's PC and everything, Microsoft, whatever. And I just like I get stuck sometimes at work because I'm like, I could do, ah, damn.
Yeah. I haven't used a Windows machine now in so long. I would be struggling. Well, actually, I say that my CNC is a Windows machine, but all I do is start button and go straight to my 2 or 3 apps I use on there. That's all. That's it. But I
Yeah.
have to think about things now, like Control Alt Delete. I still remember, but there's some things that I used to know by heart. I have to go. How do you do this in Windows? Very different operating systems, but corporate is world is still in Microsoft,
Oh, the whole world.
and except unless you're a graphics company, like a newspaper
Yes.
company or
Yep.
graphics, they
Publishing,
yeah, they
art,
switched to
anything art
Apple.
related, anything art
Switched a
related.
long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, they said it's changing quickly. It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah,
It
for
really
sure.
is. Well, I'm glad you joined the Osmo family.
You
It's awesome.
betcha. I spent in my shop on the weekend. I just released the video. I've been meaning to do this because I punched out a work table with 20 millimeter holes like the MFT, but I did one for my STM. I with the brackets, and I'm going to shoot a video on that. But and I said, God, daggone, this was easy once you understand the process. So this weekend, I punched out another top, but we shot a video on it, Chris and I, on how to use the PARF guide system by UJK and
Okay.
the Mark II. And we spent Saturday morning doing that. And I was like, wow, I remembered how to do it.
That's a good way. There's nothing better way to learn or to know how you learn to make a video on it because you learn the holes in your knowledge. That's what I've seen before. You're
Yeah.
like you and I, me. I'm always sitting there going, "Wow, they're going to want to know how to do that. I've never used that feature on it. I better figure out how to do it."
Yeah. We posted this morning. We've got like a lot of great comments, a lot of great, response, but it's summertime, not a lot of views, but it was fun getting it done,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know? And we did another one Sunday morning because I'm gone next weekend. And I always tell Chris this because he'll say, "Hey man, I want to go and do this," and I go, "Listen, well, we don't have to post a video every week, and I don't have to, create a video of something I'm building in the shop."
Mhm.
And I go, and we were sitting there, and you said something earlier in the day about or in the podcast about something. I wanted to remember this. I wrote it down. I was sitting there and I said, because of getting stuff to, how you write off materials for videos and stuff like that. I go, Chris, we could shoot video and drop a video every single week for the rest of our lives with what I have in this shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he
It's
goes, what do you mean? I
timetable
go,
over.
we got and I think about this and I think about people who are doing YouTube videos and they're getting just going in woodworking. So they got to buy all this stuff. I have all the stuff,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Difference. It does.
Hey, hey, I got another one for you. Do you ever go to garage sales? You're driving by and you go, "Hey, there's a garage sale. I think I might pull in and check it out."
Don't see them very much anymore. Like I
Yeah.
used.
I take this country road into work. It's Country Road 100 South, and takes me right into the Boone County Fairgrounds. And I can go through Leb and get to work, and that's how I go home because I can just decompress going home. And it's nothing but country and some beautiful properties. So, and I call it my lucky garage sale because they're the only house with 30 acres and they have garage sale. It's awesome. So a couple years ago, I saw a sign out and I picked up 3 boards on a Saturday morning. I go, I'm going to stop. And these were beautiful slabs. And I brought them home. I could barely get them out of the expedition. And Rick had come by and he said, "Wow, where'd you get that maple and that walnut? Wow." And they were like 12 footers. And I go, $16.
Oh wow.
He goes, "What?" He goes, "I that's like a $600-700." And I go, "It's my new buddy." I said, "How much?" And he said, blah, blah, blah. And when I was giving him the money, he goes, $8. I go, "No, no, 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 no. You told me 16." He goes, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Gosh.
So this weekend, or Friday, I saw Thursday they were having this garage sale, another house on that road, and I went, "What are the odds?" So it hit me, oh, on the way to work after 8 o'clock, and I was a little bit late getting to work, so I pulled in. I said, "To hell with it," and I pulled in, and I met these wonderful ladies, just kibitzing and beautiful property. And I walk in, and I'm looking around, and there's a DeWalt radial arm saw, an
Really?
old one, and I went, okay, A, I never want one, but B, this is a home of a woodworker.
Yeah. What color
And
was it?
it was the old gray and orange.
Okay. Okay.
And it was an oldie, a very, it was a 10-inch, but a good oldie. And I went, okay, woodworker, click. And I started looking around, and then I looked, they had things blocked off on the back of an old metal thing, and they had an old grindstone. And I went, that looks pretty cool. And then I looked really closely in the very back, and I went, oh, there it is. Do you know what a lion miter is? The big hand crank, and you trim miters with it?
Yeah, like it makes some like picture frame people use.
Yes.
Yes, I've never seen one. I'll never see one in real life. I would buy it in a second if I saw one.
Okay, had a little bit of rest on it.
Uh-huh.
And then they go, I started talking to the ladies. I go, hey, I got a question. Uh, in back here, is everything for sale? She goes, well, what are you looking at? And I went, oh, she goes, that was my father. Let me go in the house. He's 90 years old. I think he's taking a nap. Well, she comes out. She goes, he won't wake up.
Oh gosh.
And it was a lion miter. I go, and she goes, let me call my husband. He loves Festool because I had my Festool shirt on. And they were just the sweetest ladies.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I, she hung up and she said, yeah, whatever you want. And I gave her $25 for it. Yes.
Wow. Those are so cool.
Therefore, the originals are 400.
Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah,
You ready? Now I have two.
oh my gosh. Yeah, those things are so cool. I don't remember where I saw one for the first time, and I was like, they will slice just a paper thin to make a miter perfect. That's so cool. So, did you have to sharpen the blades?
I haven't. I just threw because there's a little bit of rust on it, so I threw some PB Blasta to penetrate and a little Croil, and I'll just leave it, and I
Mm.
won't touch it till this winter because I'm going to refurb it and do a video on it. And I bought it for parts because I didn't see the handle, and then as I'm shifting, I went, oh, there it is, because the handle separates from the back.
Yeah.
It's all cast iron. It
How
weighs a
wide?
ton.
How wide of a piece of like how wide of a miter can you do?
I've only done a not very.
Like four
I
inches maybe?
Yeah, four-ish, I think. Three maybe.
And then
But
is it 45 and like have a 22 and a half stop also?
yes, they have stops, but most of it's 45 and straight 90 if you need to trim.
That's so cool.
And they're great. I know a guy who used to carry one, a flooring guy. That's how he did
Yes,
all
the quarter round. Yeah.
his quarter round,
Yes. Oh, that would
for his
be
shoe mold.
it's such a waste. I feel like such an idiot using a miter saw for like quarter round because it's such a big operation. You're like,
I know. I know. And so
that's like,
what's cool with corner round, I hate it. I have it all through my house. And somebody used to ask, how do you do a return on corner round? And I would hear all the guys at Festival go, oh, you just got to go find it after it kicks on you, you know?
well,
And they
they
go, how do
probably
you do it?
was.
I go, I carry a really small, typical 2-inch pieces of plywood that I tack together and cut it a perfect 90. I cut the 45 and then I take it over and I cut the back of it so I don't have to go searching a mile an hour. I used to carry this really cool Japanese saw just for that.
That's
And they
good.
go, huh? And I go, yeah, it takes 2 seconds. Then I showed them and they went, oh,
Yeah, those that's a good idea. Those crown returns will launch on you too, and
oh
you can
yeah.
find them. It's like, where did they go?
Yeah, especially when people would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, cut those little returns on shoe mold or corner round," and I went, "What? How many times have you searched for that?" They go, "I've wasted so much time searching for that."
Yeah, what a waste.
Yeah,
What a
but people do that all day long because they don't know, a
Yeah.
simple solution as a handsaw to
Right.
cut that. And you could cut a bunch of them and keep them in a
Yes.
little tote
Yes, you
because
could.
it's the same corner mold or shoe mold you use.
Yep. You could. You get them pre-made for
Yep.
sure. That would
I
be.
just I get a kick out of it because that lion miter, man. Oh, there's so much. They work great.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I saw one of those, and I was like, "Oh, that is awesome." I think I did see one in a picture framing shop once for
Yep.
sure, and I was like, "Wow." I mean, it also makes it for people in a picture framing shop. It allow you to have somebody that was non-skilled to be able to do that.
I had
Um,
just I had just gotten one in Fort Lauderdale, and I got lost in the move. I think Mikey might have, whatever, lost it somewhere. I didn't care. And then my buddy Jim gave me his, and now I got this one. So I've had three in my life.
oh wow, yeah, those are really nice. So, are they built so that they are so calibrated they don't get off? You don't even have to ever even adjust it. They're just on.
Yeah, but there is a slight calibration that you can do with it, and it's got that little spring pin, and those get that frustrates people. But you put a little PB blast in there, and it's smooth as heck
Oh, that's cool.
because you just take it, you swing the fence, click, there's your 45, boom, click 90.
How much does it weigh?
Jesus Christmas, that thing must be 25, 30 pounds.
It's
It's all
got to be
cast.
to be that accurate. It has to be
It's
heavy.
it is all cast, and those blades are super duper thick and razor sharp. So I'm gonna take it apart, look at the blades on it. I mean, you can get replacement blades, but this is an original. Both of the ones I have are original Lion miters. Everybody's knocked it off from Grizzly to Harbor Freight to all those companies, but
So the blade when it cuts on a 45 is the bevel facing out so that it's shearing straight down, like it's cutting straight down the material, and the bevel is faced on the waist side.
yes.
That makes sense. That way it's so accurate. It's amazing that it can do that. That's
And I just took a really small piece of cherry and just went with it. And I mean, it was thin, small piece, but it just motored through perfect 45.
I'm sure I could probably use one of
It's
those paper ones, those paper cutter ones that raise up. I could probably modify and just stick some molding underneath it.
Do you know, people would ask, why do you have a paper cutter?
Yeah,
We,
you're right.
I had a paper cutter in my shop, you know what to cut?
What?
Doing inside corners when I was on, you have to have a perfect 90 for an inside corner for corner cabinets, and that's how we would apply our edge banding. We'd
Uh,
and we would just go boom, 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 and you would cut those because it was I didn't use a miter saw for my edge banding.
I got you. I wonder how it would cut PVC trim.
Pretty daggone good, I imagine, but not thick. Probably 1 millimeter tops. We
Yeah.
used to do uh we used to do PVC zero point 0.5 mil.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very cool. Very cool. That'd be a good video.
yeah. How yeah. I'm
That would,
I just wanna, and sometimes I just go, so how much am I gonna do for the video? Because I could do a whole refurbish, take apart, but I don't know if I want to do all that. I think I just want to talk it through, and that's what goes through my brain. I don't want to over talk something or overshow because next thing I know, I did something that'll be coming out next weekend that I'll work on with my laptop in the hotel room for a few. Once Chris sends over the first draft of it. Um, but I said, okay, this is gonna be a quick one for next weekend, and he said, and when he was walking out yesterday at noon, I just went, so what do you think? And he goes, dude, that's at least 12 to 15 minutes. I went, what? He goes, dude, you can talk. But I
yeah.
go, was it relevant? And sometimes there's sometimes, Ronnie, that him and I get together in the morning and I just say, I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. By the end, I'm like, I'm really energized because I know out of my brain came a lot of information,
Yeah.
right? And he's really good. And then I said, but the way it was shot, it was a little. it wasn't, it didn't seem like it's that. And then he'll send over in the afternoon the first draft, which is usually the last draft. And I'm like, holy crap, did that all come together?
Yeah, it's neat to see it come together. It's funny when you said that I'm not feeling it. There's been times before where I'm shooting, especially when it's something I'm like a paid thing. That's when you're really feel under pressure is when you know that it's going to a client and have to be approved. And it's really bad when you've got hours already into it. You're like, I'm not feeling this. It just doesn't feel like it's going to work. It's sometimes it's the editing, like you said, even when you think that it just and it comes together. But that's a very scary feeling when you put a lot of thought and time and like producing and thing, and you feel like you're like, I don't feel like this is working. It's scary. It
It,
gives you
it,
kind of a throw up feeling.
but there's times I'm just like, it's not, I guess it might be a little imposter syndrome where I think I'm winging it too much, but I'm not because it comes out and then I listen to it and I went, holy shit, I actually do know what I'm talking about.
You know what? It's hard to sometimes it's hard to put it out there where people don't get overwhelmed. Like you were talking about this cutter, you want to give them enough, but not too much. That's what gets really hard. But I think with that cutter, most people don't even know that exists, that that's an option. And it's like something along the lines of how to cut perfect miters with one cut, and it's like, and it's not power, with a hand tool, cut a miter,
Yeah.
that people are like, what? You can't do that. How do you do that? And it's just a really cool tool. That's neat.
Yeah. And hopefully I get there to produce it, but I sometimes, like somebody actually saw my lion miter in the background and asked me, Sedge, when are you going to teach me about that lion miter? I have one and I don't use it. And I went, holy shit, people really look in the background of your shop.
They do. And it's funny. My daughter's told me before, it's like, Dad, you worry about that way too much. I'm like, no, I've seen it. They see everything to the point of it makes you paranoid. Like you start going, what am I
Yeah.
doing here? People know. And I was the same way. I've talked about it before. I looked at New Yankee Workshop. I knew everything on that wall. I knew everything. And I bought things because of things I saw on shelves back there. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. By the way, same.
yeah,
I do look in the back of people's shops, say, what the hell's that over
yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. It's just and that's why shop tours and things like that are so valuable because you get to see, how people do things. It's
Do you know I still haven't done one yet? And
you
Chris
know,
is like going, we gotta do one. I go, let's do one this fall,
I
you know?
plan on doing one. It's been 3 or 4 years since I did my last one, and I plan on doing one by the winter, fall winter like project. I've got it on my little notepad list to do that because you also want to wait till enough time goes by to put when you have enough changes. Because if not, it could be nearly the same. Which some people probably would say, "Who cares? Do another one," But I
And
like to wait till things are changed a little bit.
and then in the back of my head, so I'll drop a little for, oh, wait a minute. This will come out on Friday, right? So okay, so coming up this weekend, we're gonna drop a video, God willing. And it's about folding rulers.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And I was a little apprehensive because I have a really nice collection of them. So I brought a few of my old Stanleys and Lufkins out, but not just folding rulers, other, quad folds
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then I did something where I was like, maybe I should have done it. But I have some very rare ivory Stanley folders.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, and I told Chris, okay, Pete is gonna start knocking on my door.
Hey, it's an antique.
It's an antique and I don't sell them. I
I,
just collect them. And it is what it is, but those were my dad's and he gave them to me.
oh, that's
So
awesome.
I was just thinking there's going to be some people watching there. Like I have a couple of folders that my dad in the 1990s were selling for $300,
Wow. Wow.
you
I have
know?
I have an old Stanley, and then the other ones I have are the Festool ones.
Yep.
The old Stanley I never used, but I did start using when the Festool. I was giving it to at an event, and it's one of those things where I actually one day couldn't find a tape measure in the shop, and I grabbed it, and I started saying, I see where these have a place. I actually
So
see, you
so
know.
I got one for you. This is kind of fun because I had heard this, but I did a little research a while ago on it because somebody said something because I always say, hey, one of my favorite tools is my folding ruler that I use all the time in my pocket. And I use the Festool one, which is a Stabila.
Mhm.
And someone said, "Oh, that's cool." And they called out my other folding ruler, which I talk about it. It's my favorite. It's my Haltefors. And someone said, "Haltefors is the original folding ruler." Aha! It sounds like that. But you want to hear a quick history? In 1851, a guy named Anton Ulrich patented the first folding ruler. And him and his, I believe, brother and uncle had a company in 1889 that also patented that little knuckle. Okay.
Mhm.
By the way, him and his brother Franz, they started Stabila.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that
That's so
cool?
cool. Yes.
So, but in 1883, Altafors had the first factory, and they have also a claim that they were the first to make a folding ruler. And they're from Sweden, where the Stabilo was German, and the Ulriches were German. So I kind of called that out in the video because I just love the history of tools.
Yeah.
Because,
Something I like about the folding rule is when you put your finger down the other end, you don't even need to look at the hook. You can feel it's flush with your finger.
dude, I called that out so hard.
Did you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I love that.
I think I'm a folding rule fanatic. And
Hmm.
but it's just like some of these other ones that are like quad folds with pins and they're Stanleys. And I mean, I
Yeah,
got a book back here called Boxwood and Ivory. It's just I'm just I love that. And it's really cool because my buddy has got in a flea market over in the UK a really old dilapidated folding ruler that's barely holding together, but it's all stainless steel and it's all in metric. And he got that for me. So it's pretty cool. And now everybody puts advertising on them. And I have Festos, I have Festools, I have tons of Festool different folding rulers. So that's the thing I was getting at is, when you do a shop tour, people see what you have,
hmm,
and I've avoided it for a while. But but people keep asking. Like Sean asked me during Beers with the Boys, Sedge, what's in your wall? And I started talking about the drawers one time because
hmm.
I want to show people how to organize. But also, it's sometimes it's tough because I just look what I have behind me. I have that really cool H.O. Studley thing you got me from Lost Art. I just love old tools, man. It's just
I
so
do.
cool. But I tell people my real collection sits behind me, but up above, I have some really good antique collector's books that are worth of value. They were my dad's,
That's
and
neat.
everything I have in my shop that's of antique value, they're very sentimental to me because my dad gave them to me. He used some of them, but most of them were stuff he collected over the years. So. And it was kind of fun this weekend doing that folding ruler. And Chris was like, "This is really cool." you
Yeah.
know?
I just didn't have exposure with them. I started with a tape measure and it just happened to be that day I couldn't find. And I started, the other thing I like about them is you don't have to deal with the spring wanting to kick back on you. You can just lay it
Yes.
there. You can take your time making a mark. And I'm like, I see this having a place that
Okay.
I just kind of missed that step. I've talked about before. I go backwards. There's steps I've missed in woodworking that I go back to. And I'm like, I like this old way. It makes sense.
And that was the idea of the folding rule because tapes, you can't take a long steel rule, and stick it in your pocket,
Mhm.
but you can fold it up. And that's the accuracy of a steel rule folded to fit in your pocket. And
That
that's why, and I even talked about how it lays flat and you can really take your time with your mesh. It sounds funny that you're all talking about this, but that's what I talked about in the video. It's really cool.
Do
It's
you
just,
talk about, do you understand or talk or know, have you found out about, is it called a knuckle, the hinge part? Do they have a certain way of doing it where it never has slop?
I didn't do any research on that, but
I'm just
yeah, that's
wondering. I assume that something must be long wearing where it never has slop because if all those joints were off a little bit, it could add another 3/16 of an inch or whatever to a piece, but they seem like they're very tight.
Very tight. And the other thing that I talked about is, and I show around my shop, I have some broken ones. You know, the wooden ones have a tendency. I have a couple Lee Valleys that are broken. And I go, what do you do with these?
I've done the
Well, you
same.
know that the measurement starts at the other end too. So you
Figured that out.
save that, you have a
Figured that-
smaller one, and then you have these pieces that break off. They make great rulers. And I
Yes.
have them all over my shop.
Yes. And you know what? Same with tape measure. If you have a tape
Yes.
measure that breaks, you can actually take a tape measure and cut 10 feet and run it from floor to ceiling and just attach it into the wall. And you can use it as a board measurer. I
Yes.
had one on my trailer forever that I just screwed down to the floor of the trailer, and you kind of can see what you have left over when there's a use for them. I figured out that I broke a Festool when I walked into it. Like I was doing something and I walked in, just snapped it. And I was like, well, I won't do that again. But then Cameron actually noticed. He was like, Dad, it starts from the other side. We can just use that one. It works.
It works. But I tell people that and I go, huh? Yeah, it's people just want to throw things away and it's still of use.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
works. Very
So
cool.
that was a lot. That was a fun video we shot on the weekend. And
Well, that'll
yeah,
be interesting.
you know, Ronnie, I always think about this when we talk about YouTube channels and everything. Uh yeah, you can really gear everything to, you know, do this, do this, do this. But I just like teaching people, you
Yeah.
know, and
Really the basics.
yeah, I just like teaching people the basics. And you think everybody knows this stuff, but they don't. And then when I create a video, Chris and I create a video and I throw it out there, people are so daggone thankful.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to do this one from my viewpoint, not to confuse everybody with all these other things that you can do with it. Just doing a basic table that's of a decent size, not for an MFT, but a 20 millimeter grid. And it was a lot of fun doing that. And
Yeah.
I oversimplified the video from videos I've seen from people that put too much into it.
Well, I think that people forget about the basics, and there's so many people now that are in the woodworking, including myself, who skipped the basics and went straight to the power tools, straight to this tool or that tool or that tool, and they don't understand the basics. But you get to a certain point where it's important to understand the basics to be able to go forward. If you
Yes.
start in the middle, and there's not a lot of people teaching that.
Yeah, I just like teaching it, or how do you say passing on the knowledge that was given to me
Yes,
so it stays out there.
yes,
Yeah. And the beauty of YouTube, it's going to.
yep, it is, it is.
You know, Ronnie, I just looked up for the first time at the
Yep,
time.
yep. It's already here.
What the hell happens
It's amazing.
when the two of us or three of us get on this call? I'm just like, I thought it was like 6:15.
Yeah, it can fly. It can move. It's
Oh
also
my God.
hard when we're not getting it when it gets dark in the winter early. You feel
Mm-hmm.
time goes by a little bit faster, but it's still bright as can be outside, so it makes it feel just like time just didn't even
Jeez,
happen.
man.
And I'm sure we'll get to hear next week from Jason how the makers event went with the it's supposed to be supporting the trades, the importance of the people in the trades, which will
That's
be
what I heard. I hope it goes well
yeah,
because,
we'll
you
have
know,
to
I know they even look at forward to next year as well. So
yeah, yeah, we'll have to see and hear more
I
about that. He'll have plenty to report back about that. And we're getting closer and closer to our
con,
green suitor con.
con.
It's coming up very quickly. Very good.
And the thing is that's also there. You know, we get a lot of people coming to that, and just like a family reunion that I'm going to this weekend or a big family get together. I hope I get a chance to talk with everybody. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
that
we got people coming from Denmark, from England. You
England.
know,
Yeah,
England. The governor's coming.
the
Gov,
government.
the
Yeah,
governor.
he'll be on our time zone for the first time.
Yeah.
We've been talking to him. Yeah, it'll be fun. It's coming quickly, and and we're already into mid-July already. Somebody told me the other day school's starting back in a little more than a month, and I was like, "What?" I feel like summer just
What?
started. Yeah, it's not much longer than like I think it's like 5 weeks away. School's starting back. That's going to come quickly, and then we're going to be back in fall. It's going to be Oktoberfest time.
October. I love October.
Yes.
And when one thing cancels on me, another one gets booked.
Yeah, that's
And
always
I got some cool stuff or some cool travel where I'm going to see some of our patrons in their neck of the woods, I think, in October.
oh cool.
Oh, we're going to see Steve, right? In October.
Yes, that's true. Like middle sometime in the middle of October. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I might be up in Detroit.
American Muscle Car Land.
Yeah, I might be up there. They're talking about some kind of demo grand opening for me to be there on a Saturday. So
Okay.
hopefully that hits. And I got Mark Adams coming up in September, the weekend before Green Suiters Con.
Fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think I got a full class down there,
Well, that'll
so
be cool.
that'll be a lot of fun.
Well,
Okay, Ronnie.
okay. Well, I guess
Hey,
what if Jason just appears all of a sudden? He goes, bye bye, quick.
bye bye.
That would be hilarious. Bye bye.
Well, he's probably gonna do that if he edits. Has time to edit this. He goes,
He
"Oh, here I
probably
am. Bye
will.
bye.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm out here now. Bye bye.
Bye bye."
So I guess we're going to say bye bye, and we'll see
Oh,
everybody next week. Thank you for and any new patrons. We're going to announce you next week because we are not aware yet what happened. That's Jason's role, and he forgot to look. So he'll get us up to speed next week on that.
yes. And
And
everybody, thank you so much for listening. And also, if you like this on Apple, Spotify, please leave us a review.
yes, and tell all your friends.
Yes. And tell all your friends to sign up on Patreon and come see us and hang out with us on
Yeah,
Green Suiters Con.
gone, gone,
Con. Con.
gone. All
All
right,
right.
all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your support, and bye bye,
Bye bye.
bye bye,
Bye
bye
bye. Bye bye.
bye.